Good morning, students of Standard 10. We'll begin with the revision today. Right? We'll try to bring in the topics that we had already discussed in Standard 9. The topics for today's discussion is concept of class and object. Then we have the second one, programming paradigm. Third, the principles of OOP. But before that, we will discuss this. Java as an OOP language. And finally, characteristics of Java. Now let us understand about the concept of object and class. As we all know, that anything that we see, an entity surrounding us or within the scope of our visibility, anything that we notice refers to an object. An object basically has a characteristics, certain behaviors, and of course today we know the name as well, which stands as their identity. The characteristics of an object. Let's take for example, if you have a stylus in the hand, if you notice this stylus, this particular stylus, if you notice, it has a streamlined body, grayish color, and there are many components through which it is, by which it is made. The different components are there of a stylus. So these are all its characteristics, the size, the design, the shape, everything constitute what is called as the characteristics. And we all know that this particular object is used for the purpose of writing on the electronic board. And the name, we all know that it has a certain name that is given. And this name is its identity. So any object that can be identified by its name, characteristics, and behavior in today's world is termed as an object. You know, it is you and I who has given this particular object a name called stylus. It's not, it has derived its name on its own. It's somebody, somewhere has given its name, and today it has been universally accepted. Now, if you are given a paper and a currency note, and you are asked to pick one of the two, you will definitely go for the currency note. The reason? Because the currency note has its value, it is universally accepted as, with a certain denomination. But a paper is just a paper, though the currency note is also a paper. However, the currency note has more value than an ordinary paper. That's why the object is identified by its name, by its structure. Thus, the characteristics and behavior of an object together is termed as a structure of an object as well as the properties of an object. When this structure of an object is given a name, then it's called the class. This name can be abstract. That is, the name of the class can be abstract as well. I can change this name, of this particular object from tomorrow onwards. Suppose if this is called an aeroplane. Suppose if somebody has, had changed the name of this particular object and named it as aeroplane, then today you and I would have called it as an aeroplane. So, but then what happens is, when you change the name, the characteristics and the behavior do not change, they remain the same. Therefore, the definition will also remain the same. That means if this particular, the stylus is henceforth, if it is known as an aeroplane, then tomorrow what happens, the entire definition of aeroplane will change in the dictionary. It will be known as an instrument for writing on the electronic board thereafter. So thus what happens is, the name is always abstract. It's not real. The name can be changed, however, the characteristics and the behavior of an object remains the same, there is no change in it. A class and an object, both are interrelated to one another. Where a class is known as an object factory, an object on the other hand is known as the instance of a class. Class is an area where objects are created and instantiated. An object is a subset of a class. It defines a class. So with the object we understand the definition of a class. Alright? So then we have the next one, that is the programming paradigm. Paradigm is a method, is a way, is a mode of different programs. So there were many programming, programs were there, or types of programs. The very first programming was the structure programming, structure based. It involved more of data members. Let me tell you, the data members refers to the characteristics of an object, and the methods of function refers to the behavior of an object. So the structure programming technique involved more of a data member, they involved more data members. Little stress was given on the functions or the methods. Then came the procedure oriented, that involved more of the procedures or the functions or the methods or the behavior of an object, instead of giving more stress on, or rather equal stress on, data members. Then we had the OOPS programming, object oriented programming. In object oriented programming here, in fact, before object oriented programming, I would just like to tell you something more about it. That is, there was object-based programming language. Object-based. That means in an object-based programming language, it contained an object. The programs contained an object, but the problem was that it did not involve many of the features which is adopted by the object-oriented programming language. That is, like polymorphism, inheritance, abstraction. So these are quite a few of the features of object-oriented programming, or rather of an object that was not in it was not in a way, it was not present in an object-based programming language. So that gave result to an object-oriented programming language, which though it did not contain the object, but it followed an object. It worked on the principles of object. That means the object was you can say the center point. The concept of programming in object-oriented language resulted, it was based on, or rather purely based on, the concept that was existing in the real world related to an object. So it was a pure and object-oriented language. Whatever the programming concept was made, it hovered around the principle of the object, and that's how we had the principles of object-oriented programming languages, like the encapsulation, abstraction. Then we had polymorphism, inheritance, etc. Within encapsulation, we also have, you can say that is data hiding and the modularity. Modularity basically refers to a program being divided into a number of, smaller segments, as we have seen in functions. And these segments, each known as a module, they interact with one another through message passing, and the task was accomplished. Java is an object-oriented programming language. Yes. The concept of programming in Java is related to the real world concept of object. And that's why Java is known as an OOP language. Then we have the characteristics of Java. First of all, as you know, the Java is an example of a OOP language I just discussed. And being an example of OOP language, Java is platform independent. That means it can work on any given platform. A platform means the combination of hardware and software. So for any given software, a combination of hardware and software, Java will work by changing its interpreter. That's why we use a term called WORA. Write once, run anywhere. WORA. Java is case sensitive. It differentiates between the uppercase variable or an object as well as the lowercase. Java uses both compiler as well as interpreter. No other languages uses both the interpreter as well as the compiler. But Java uses both compiler as well as interpreter. The compiler of Java is known as JavaC, JAVAC, that is Java compiler, also known as just-in-time compiler, JIT, C or JIT compiler, for Java compiler, JAVAC, and its interpreter known as a JVM, Java Virtual Machine, which is also known as a pseudo processor, which exists logically over the underlying physical processor, and it enhances the workability of the physical processor. Java uses lightweight codes, very simple codes, so that everyone can understand. Java supports multimedia. The mobile games that we notice, they are all, basically they are made, that is with the help of Java. Java provides security. In some of the cases what happens, we have seen with the use of access specifiers. We can either protect, fully or partially as per the user's requirement. The data members can be protected. So this is what exactly that we have for today's discussion. In the next class, we will move further. We'll try to cover up Standard 9 syllabus as well, along with whatever we have done so far. So in the class, when you have online class, if anyone has any problem related to these topics, there'll be 4 videos. So based on those 4 videos, if you have any problem, anything you want to discuss, you are most welcome. Alright? So till then, take care. God bless each one of you.